QuickBooks Online Credit Memos, ensuring accurate reporting. Okay, so I like to start every video off with a quick answer so that somebody just needs to know where to navigate to, can get the information they need. As you can see, there's kind of a lot of aspects, a lot of quick answers to this video. I will start with the most fundamental, which is how to actually create a credit memo. Okay, and that's easy enough. That is done by going up to the New button, and under the Customers heading, you're going to click on Credit Memo. Okay, so once you have a credit memo in there, say you want to apply that credit memo to an invoice for a customer. That's New, Receive Payment. And enter the pertinent information there. Back out. Okay, say that you're not able to do that ideal thing where it makes more sense to issue a refund rather than a credit memo. You can do that also in the New button and hit Refund Receipt under the Customers column. And you'll select the amount of the refund there and fill out all the other pertinent information about the customer. And then finally, if the customer requests a statement, or if you send out statements as a matter of procedure, then that's going to be a little different area. That's going to be the sales menu, then customers, and you're going to select the customer. Go to sales, customers. Okay, you just select the customer and batch actions. It's a little tough to say. And create statements. Pick your statement type, your date range, and send to the customer. Okay, so that's it for the quick answer. Now I'm going to get into a little more detail. There's a lot to cover here. So we'll start plugging away. Okay, so first of all, what are credit memos? Excuse me. Credit memo is the ability to credit a customer for a particular dollar amount. Next time that they receive an invoice, the credit will reduce the amount that they owe. It's not a refund, not the same thing. Similar in nature, but not the same. Cash does not go back to the customer, which, all things being equal, is good. You don't want cash leaving a business if you can help it. It can be reflected on a customer statement, of course, and should be, and will reduce the amount of accounts receivable that you have once you've created a credit memo. Okay, so why use them? Changing a transaction, like a past transaction, can create confusion. If you're tweaking the amount that you sold it for, or start fidgeting around with, standard prices and that sort of thing, you might not know the details of why you're doing what you're doing. So, your books could become out of balance if the transaction was in a previous period too. So, and simply discounting the next transaction along the same lines isn't going to tell the whole story. You could look back a year from now, 2 years. You could send out a statement to the customer. They weren't clear about what happened and you don't remember. If you deal with a lot of customers, a lot of transactions, or somebody else in your organization did it, or didn't do a credit memo but edited a transaction, it just can create confusion. So a credit memo accurately portrays the events that took place. Okay, it creates what they call an audit trail. It uh, allows you to look at it and basically do what I preach a lot about on this channel, is to make sure your accounting system matches reality. So it's beneficial in those terms, and really the correct, the best practice, so to speak, when it comes to giving a customer credit. A credit memo is preferable to a cash refund, all things being equal. Sometimes you'll have to do a refund, perhaps. But the reason for that is because the old finance, or basically what corporate finance is built on, a dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow. You want to keep that cash in the organization so you can use it. So you can use it to pay employees, so you can use it to pay vendors. Okay, so you can reinvest it in your business. And if you send cash out to the customer, there's no guarantee that they're going to return with that cash. Okay, if you can get away with using a credit memo as opposed to a refund, then it incentivizes them to come back. Their next purchase is going to be less. It's going to have a credit applied. So, it's that's a couple of the reasons that a credit memo is preferable to a cash refund. With QuickBooks Online, it can be applied automatically. This is something you specify in accounts and settings to automatically, when you create a credit memo, to apply to that next invoice. But yeah, like I said, you have to turn that setting on. So we'll get in a little more detail rather than a quick answer or rushing through how to create a credit memo. Again, you're going to go to the upper left new button, pick credit memo. Let's go up here under customers, credit memo. And then you're going to pick your customer that's going to receive the credit memo. We'll use old Duke's basketball camp again. So you need to specify what the credit memo was for. If it's, you have to use your judgment here. If it's in regards to something being something wrong on the invoice to the customer, an error involving a particular product or service, you can select that particular product or service and edit the quantity and or rate over to the right here, or potentially you could create a non-inventory product or service and basically edit the description to say this is a credit for, the customer was upset about the customer service or something, or whatever the reason may be, just so, again, so you've got something, a thorough description there, so when you look at it years from now what you did this for. So maybe we misbilled, if that's even a term, billed in error for a rock fountain to Duke's basketball camp, and we want to issue a credit memo for $275. Okay, so we enter that information, product or service. It is optional. You can just enter a quantity or rate also. And then you're going to hit save and new if you want to do another. You have a couple credit memos to enter. Save and send, email them the credit memo, or just save and close to exit. So in this case, you can preview it if you're sending it to the customer. And, actually, let's do this. Let's just delete this. And let's just say we're going to credit the customer $275. There, no product, just we messed up. Here's a credit for $275. Okay. So that got sent to the customer. This is a sample company, so didn't really send it to anybody, but now it's in the system for Duke's basketball camp. Okay. So Duke's basketball camp comes back to us for more landscaping services. That's our sample company. That's the business they're in. And we're going to apply that credit to the next invoice. So have to have an existing invoice to credit, of course, and it's only necessary if automatically applied credits, like I mentioned, in accounts and settings isn't selected. And to do so, you're going to go to new, the upper left button, receive payment. And hopefully there's a default invoice in here for Duke's basketball camp. Let's see. Doesn't have an open invoice. Okay. So I picked the wrong customer there. Let's go with Gita. Okay. So we're going to select, we chose customer. We're going to select the appropriate invoice with a checkbox, and then there we go. And then down below here, we would have a credits section that we could apply to Gita's. Let's back out of here and do it the right way. New credit memo. And let's apply it for our friend Gita. Let's see. And we can just do an amount here. What was it, 275? There. Okay. Now we have a credit memo in for Gita too. Now we will go to new receive payment. We know Gita has that $623 invoice outstanding. Is that right? There's that. And actually, in this case, they are automatically applied. So you'll notice the original amount, $629. I misspoke, but here's the balance minus that $275. Doesn't itemize it here, but you can see that it did apply it on the next invoice. If it's not automatically applied, like I said, it'll appear down here below where you can select the credits that you want to apply, the credit memos, to the invoices you've selected. So we applied that. We'll save and send to Gita, and hopefully it will show applied on her PDF here. No, it doesn't. That's a little bit of a shortcoming. A little more detail would be good there. But what's important is Gita got her credit. Okay, so Gita's a happy customer once more, and we can go back about our business. So, issuing a refund. Now, let's say Gita said, "No, I'm never doing business with you again. I'm outraged. It's a bad situation. I want a refund." Okay. Then to issue a refund, again, the new, we're going to go to refund receipt, this time in the customers column. We're going to choose Gita from the dropdown, customers, refund receipt. Let's choose Geet. Okay. And we want to choose a refund payment method. Okay. We're going to do cash. We're going to do credit. Back on our credit card, we'll do check for Gita and where it's coming from. Want to select that. And we want to enter an amount, $275. And hopefully that's it for the refunds we're issuing. So we'll hit save and close. And Gita, there it goes, refund issued, $275. Okay. Now, let's get into a little more detail about statements. Statements provide transparency to customers about their account standing, about the details of credits, refunds, and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, the receipt that we issued earlier to Gita didn't. I mean, she would probably know, but it didn't say, hey, and this is just a preference of mine. I want to know, here's what it was, the cost of what I purchased from you. Here's what the amount it was discounted by is, and here's the net amount that I would owe. And, and I paid, and here's my receipt detailing all that. Didn't do that, but the detail should be on the statement. So how to create a customer statement. This time again, we don't go to the new button, we go to the sales menu. We select customers, and we are already here. So sales customers, that's where we are now. Okay. Then you're going to check the box for, let's look at Gita's account here, for the customer we want. And you can do this as in batch, so you can do whatever you select here for all customers. In this case, we're just doing Gita. She says, send me a statement. I want to make sure everything's right about what you did with my account. Okay, Gita, happy to do that. And we select that batch actions drop down and create statements. Okay, so we want to select the statement type that we'd like to create. We'll get into that in a little more detail here in just a second. We want whichever is most appropriate for the situation. We want the date range. We'll give her for the past month here. And so let's talk about statement types real quick before we do that. Okay, balance forward is going to give a list of payments and invoices that the customer had. It clarifies what is currently due on the account. Open items. Okay, this is going to be open invoices, detail on unpaid invoices, credit memos, and unapplied payments. This would have been the type of statement we would have sent to Gita before we did the settled the invoice earlier. Well, actually, that one might, I guess since we just sent the invoice, that one might be appropriate. Transaction statement is going to be transaction detail over date range. It's appropriate for accounts with a high volume of transactions. So let's try this open item here and apply it. No, okay. Try balance forward then. All right, because Gita's balance is 0 now. So let's do save and send. This is what's nice about QuickBooks Online. It gives you the opportunity to preview it. Yeah, this is what we want. Okay, so not a high volume of transactions, but specifies what we did on the account. We issued an invoice on 12/12 for $629.10. There's our credit memo we entered earlier for $275. There's our refund we gave her for $275. Obviously, in the real world, you probably wouldn't do both, but Gita was our best example. So now Gita owes us $79.10. We'll send that to her, and there you go. Okay, so to view previously created statements, and like I said, there's a lot of detail in this one, but we're almost through it. Sales in the left menu and all sales. Sales, all sales, but we'll just click it here. Takes us to the same spot. From there, we're going to select the filter drop down and type statements. So we want to filter and type. So drop down, statements. Okay, for the last year. Oh, well, let's apply. That should show Gita's, I think. Yes, there it is. So now we can see it again. If she calls in with a question about her statement, again, this isn't all going to happen just boom, boom, boom like we're doing it now. Time will pass. People will forget stuff. You got a lot on your plate as a small business owner. So, this is how we can see, again, Gita's statement. And if she wants to call and speak on it, then we'll have it in front of us and we can help her piece together what happened. So that's to view previously created statements. Now to automatically apply credits, which is what was set up in this particular sample account. But just to let you know how that happened, I'm going to go to the gear in the upper right, accounts and settings, under the Your Company heading. Your Company, accounts and settings. Then on the left menu, we're going to go to Advanced, and we're going to Edit. And to edit, click the little pencil in the Automation section. Waiting on it here. Okay. Let's try again. Accounts and Settings. Let's do Advanced. And like I said, down here in the scroll past it. Oh, try Advanced. Okay. In the Automation section, Edit, and that's the checkbox you're looking for. Automatically applying credits is on, off, set it how you want it. Probably on, and then you want to click Save. And that will automatically apply credits. Then click Done to get out of the Accounts and Settings. Okay, so that covers everything to do with credit memos. So a lot of information there, but covered credit memos, refunds, statements, so everything kind of potentially affected by a credit memo. So there's a lot to, QuickBooks Online is pretty simple, but there's a lot of different, a lot of things you can do, because business is dynamic, and that. So if bookkeeping isn't your cup of tea, if having to research how to do this stuff every time you need to do something new isn't your cup of tea, if you'd rather spend your time working on your business, helping it grow, and less time on menial tasks like watching Spreadsheets for Business QuickBooks Online videos, nothing personal, I get it. And you just want to do more business and less data entry, okay, then check out BotKeeper. I'll have a link down in the description. And what BotKeeper does is automate bookkeeping tasks that you hate to do. All right, so it's artificial intelligence powered, and that's what does the bulk of the work. And then it also has a human touch that kind of qualifies the artificial intelligence transactions, and just puts a set of human eyes on it to make sure everything's accurate, timely, and most importantly, off your back. So if it's something you think you'd be interested in, again, click that link down in the description and check it out. So this was a long video. I'll wrap it up here. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And why would you like? Well, if you like the fact that I gave you a quick answer up front, was short and to the point, but then went into more detail after that, if you like that format, I would appreciate a like. If you find yourself, if you are going to do your own bookkeeping and you find yourself looking up how-to videos in QuickBooks Online fairly often, then consider subscribing so you can just jump onto my channel, see if I've covered it, and in that case, great. Then if not, you can search it on the YouTube, through the YouTube search. So anyhow, appreciate you guys watching as always. Take care.